Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're inside today in the kitchen, and today we're going to make a garlic butter. I use this on everything. I use it when I make garlic breads. I use it on top of a piece of chicken or a piece of fish or a piece of steak. This goes fantastic on everything. And making it is actually really easy. So the first thing you're going to need is about a cup of butter. Now it does need to be softened, not melted, softened. So take your butter and just smash it up with a fork until it's fairly softened. If you have to, stick it in the microwave for 10 seconds to help soften it, because it really does need to be soft to pull this off. Okay, smash that up with a fork. Make sure it's fairly smooth. Then set that aside. Now we're going to need 3 cloves of garlic. Now I've already peeled 2 of my cloves, and I'm just going to peel the 3rd quickly. I know there's a lot of fancy ways to peel garlic. I literally just chop off one end, chop off the other end, and then the garlic tends to just fall out of the peel. Okay, that's literally how I chop my garlic. And I'm using 3 cloves. You can use 2 if you're not as into garlic, and you might want to have a 4th one in reserve in case you want more garlic than I'm doing. But I'm doing a decent amount of garlic. So you're going to take your cloves and you're going to grate them on either a zester or the small grater, not the big grater. So you're just going to quickly rub them on there. So they obviously grate really, really fast, okay, because they're just little cloves of garlic. So we're just going to grate that. Watch your fingers. Just watch your fingers, because you do want it pasty. What you want is you want a garlic paste, and I do prefer using a garlic paste that I've grated myself, as opposed, just watch your fingers, right? And I always just take this top piece of kind of fleshy side and just set that aside. But I do prefer using a paste that I've created as opposed to a bought paste, just because I know how long it's been pasty, which is about 45 seconds. So I do like doing it myself. Yes, you can use a garlic paste if you like, but 1, this doesn't have any additives. It's just straight garlic. And 2, it's kind of fun to make. So grate those up real quick. And put a cutting board underneath, because sometimes what happens is people don't put anything underneath, and then you get garlic all over your mat, and that garlic can sink in. So even though this is not actually falling off the back, you can see it's just kind of collecting, which is excellent. You still want something underneath just to catch that garlic, just in case, because you don't want all that garlic getting absolutely everywhere, because it's really, really ridiculous to try to get that garlic smell out of something like silicone. So I like to just use a little cutting board or something extra on top of my silicone mat, just to make sure. And that should be plenty of garlic. If it's not, I'll add more. I just like to use my thumb here. Go the opposite way over your blades, by the way, because if you go that way, you're going to grate your fingers. And then just on my fork, obviously you're working with clean hands. Flip that over, save this garlic, dump that into your bowl. And yes, I just use my fingers. I find it's way easier than worrying about a spoon or getting it all off nicely. So you put that into your cup of butter. So remember, you have 1 cup of butter and 3 cloves of garlic. Mix that really well, because you don't want the garlic sitting in one spot or another. You want to make sure that garlic paste is broken up and well distributed. So scrape your sides. So, and yes, your butter needs to be this soft or it won't mix properly. So again, it's okay to stick it in the microwave for 10 seconds. Then I'm going to do a tablespoon of dried thyme. I don't use fresh in this, just because you're probably going to store this butter, and I don't like fresh herbs in a butter that I'm storing. I prefer a dried one, so there's no extra moisture. Mix that in. Then we're going to take a little bit of, this one is salt, a little bit of salt. Remember, you're using a salted butter, So you don't need a ton of salt, just a little bit, just a couple of shakes. And I'm using Himalayan salt because I can. And yet you're going to get butter on your hands. It's not that big a deal. Whip that in. Then I'm going to grab the pepper. Just a few shakes of pepper. You're going to do this to taste because in a minute we're going to taste it. But once we have that in, whip that together. Scrape down your sides. Make sure the ingredients are evenly distributed within your butter. And then you're just going to taste it just a little at a time. There you go. You should get a garlic reaction, not a garlic. You don't want it so garlicky that it's overwhelmingly powerful. Okay, you want to taste the garlic. You want it to have a kick, but you don't want it so garlicky that you can't eat the garlic butter. Obviously, we're not eating it by the spoonful. But if you can't take a dollop of that, even if it's just a fingerful, even if you can't do that and stick it in your mouth, then, I got garlic over my hands. But if you can't do that, then you've got too much garlic. If you don't have enough garlic, you won't taste it. So I like to do 3 cloves, but you could do 2 or you could do 4, depending on taste. And if you think it needs a little bit more salt or a little bit more pepper, you absolutely should do that because you want to enjoy the butter. So what do you do with this garlic butter? Well, you can make your garlic breads. You can, as your steaks are cooking, put a little dollop on top of each one, especially if you're grilling them. You can absolutely add a little bit to the top of fish as it's cooking in the oven. You can use this a lot of different ways. You can even use this if you're making just bread, and instead of using butter, you could use your garlic butter and it gives your bread a nice little flavor. You can use it in any way you like. Over the next couple weeks, I am going to make a couple of garlic bread recipes that I like to make with this, including a garlic twist and a garlic boat. So we will come back in the next couple weeks and make a couple of those variations that I really enjoy making. But for now, I'm going to leave you with that garlic butter. Make sure you use it, store it in the fridge because it will stay better longer in the fridge. You can, if you like, freeze it in dollops in about tablespoonfuls. So you just take a tablespoonful and you put it on a cookie sheet, freeze that, and then put those in a Ziploc bag. And you can use those anytime you need a little bit of extra butter, even if you want to throw it in your rice or whatever you have. It just gives you a little bit of dollop, a nice little dollop of garlic butter, and it is fantastic. So I hope you enjoyed making garlic butter with us today. It is so simple and definitely worth making yourself. We'll see you tomorrow.